By the way, I have a terrible cough, so if I have like a coughing attack, it's going to be okay. I'll make it through. Everyone in their life has someone who is influential, who they look up to, or who they aspire to be like when they're older. At age 18, for me, there is not a time that I can remember not wanting to be exactly like my grandfather, Papa, and my dad. These two men have hundreds of qualities that I long for. And they've set the precedent for the man that I want to one day become. And while I could talk about all these qualities that they have today, I just want to talk about three. Their heart for others, their desire to strive for excellence in all aspects of life, and their admirable personalities. But before I start gushing over my grandpa and my dad, Mom, you are the most special woman in my life, and I love you so much. If you don't know Mike Barr Hat, a.k.a. Papa, you are missing out on life. There is not a word to accurately describe the greatness of Pops. One of the first things you'll notice about Papa is that he loves to serve. If you're on the Oakridge football team, you know this firsthand. During football season, it is a weekly occurrence to see Papa strolling through Oakridge with a cigar in his mouth and all, with cartons on cartons of Brahms milkshakes to feed to the team to bulk up. Papa soon established himself as a living legend at Oakridge for doing this. But Papa doesn't just serve for recognition. Papa serves all the time, whether it's at his church for the city of Arlington, stocking our pantry with Gatorades for the football or basketball season that I'm in. One of my favorite stories about Papa is the last time I went to Joseph A. Bank. And I was just doing my thing there, and the workers came up to me and said, "You sure are lucky to have a grandfather like Mike Barr Hat. He brings us cookies every week." Who does that except for Papa? And then there's my dad, who since day one, whether shaving with a tape-covered razor or mowing right beside him, I wanted to be just like. Like Papa, Dad is one of the truest natural servants that I've ever seen. He serves weekly at prisons, pouring into inmates about Jesus Christ and their worth. He spends his summers serving at a Royal Family Kids Camp, where he can lead and guide young boys and girls from impoverished backgrounds, from foster homes. He woke us up this past Christmas morning at 5 a.m. to go cook breakfast at the homeless shelter. And like Papa as well, Dad doesn't serve just for recognition. He serves every single day, whether driving an elderly widow to and from church, driving buses packed with kids to Mission Arlington, or pouring in daily to his tower hands and being such a guidance for them. This contrasts so heavily with my selfish tendency. But you can bet that the more and more I watch my dad, the more and more I long to serve. The next admirable characteristic that both of these men share is their desire to strive for excellence in all aspects of life. Papa is the epitome of a hardworking man. He goes 100% in everything he does. He devotes time in his faith, his family, his work, and his marriage. And Papa has set the bar extremely high for the man that I want to become. My dad is the same. He makes bigger strides in looking more and more like Jesus than anyone I know. It's so funny, but so admirable to see him correct himself the slightest mistake. It's almost a running joke in our family. Well, not going to see Dad make that mistake again. He's got a vision for his faith, his family, his work, and his marriage, and he carries that vision out. Dad sets God-sized goals, and he pursues God-given passions. Living with someone like Keith Cendrick makes you want to aspire to excellence. Papa's servant's heart and his standard of excellence is also coupled with an awesome personality. Papa is so funny, if you know Papa. I'll never forget leaving church one day. I was mimicking Papa and that country voice that he has, And he just looked at me with his full Diet Coke and poured it all right on me, on my whole new church outfit. One of my favorite Papa stories was from this year, when it was after an Oakridge Owl win, and the following week, Papa's doing his thing, bringing up milkshakes to Oakridge for the whole football team. And before he gives me mine, he looks at me and he drinks half the shake right in front of my face. He said, "Michael, this is what you get for playing like crap in the first half." One of the funniest things about Papa is how funny he thinks he is. Sometimes it's not even what he did or what he said. It's just that Papa's so tickled and cannot stop laughing. It's so funny. And then there's my dad, who has such a tender personality. He is filled with more humility, more steadfastness, and more inner strength than anyone that I've ever met. So today I'm going to close with something that's very sensitive between my dad and I. At age 23, my dad was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, known as MS. This affects how he feels and his balance on a day-to-day basis. The thing is that he hates telling people about this because he doesn't want people pitying him for it. But here I am today just telling all of you about it. And that's because for as negatively as it affects my dad, his response to MS affects me more positively than even he can know. I see my dad fight through a crappy MS day. I see my dad never complain about how bad he feels. I see my dad push the limits on what he can do and give it everything he's got to try to play sports with me so we can have another thing in common. I see my dad wake up every single morning and work out, defying all odds that MS has on him. And that is why, for this year's football season, every single game I played, a cross and his initials were on the tape that I taped on my wrist. And that's because in the fourth quarter, I knew without a doubt that as exhausted as I may be, I could look at those initials and I knew that my dad would never give up because he's never, ever given up on me. I pray that I am half the dad that he has been to me. The role of these two men has been absolutely incredible in my life. They have set the precedent for the man, the husband, the father, and the grandfather that I hope I can one day become. They are truly a gift from above. Thank you.